it's even recorded as the largest castle complex in the whole world in the Guinness Books of Records.
This is a cathedral. Wow. Took 600 years to build this. You see different styles.
And in 1344, but twice wars interrupted the activities, stopped the works on the cathedral. That's why this western end, the right side, was completed only in 1929. So 1344 on the left and 1929 on the right. So from 1300s to 1400s, the first period, then from 1500s to 1600s, second period, and from 1800s to 1900s, the last part. And those black towers, these like the western towers, spires, were modeled after the cathedral in Kelm, in Cologne, in Germany. But if you have visited Germany and saw that cathedral, their towers are much taller.
The yellow painted complex is the new royal palace. And the monarchy was 1918. They were Habsburgs prior. 2 guards here. This is open from 6 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night. This is the second courtyard, but it's of the new royal palace.
In mid-1700s, even though she ruled from Vienna, but she also she did not like it because it was a cold, medieval, old-fashioned, comfortable, but she had a solution. By that time, Italian architect Niccolo Facassi already redeveloped Hofburg and Schönbrunn, so there's an experienced architect. She sent him to Prague, and her wish was to have something similar in Prague.
The statue is from the late 1600s. Cage on this well keeps the birds out, so it's safer to drink. This is a chapel of the Holy Cross, but it's not used anymore. The original entrance. You could take your horse and carriage under here and then up the staircase. This was the main entrance.
Suddenly you feel space, moreover you see out and what is available. So over there, there's a hill called Petřín Hill, and there's a copy of an Eiffel Tower. It's from 1891, only 2 years after the original Eiffel Tower was completed in Paris. It's only 200 feet high, but they put it up on the hill so smartly that the top of this copy is on the same altitude as the top of the Eiffel Tower in Paris. So it is as high as the original. If you and below towards the river, you will later understand better what I'm speaking about. It is so-called Little Quarter, even though in many guidebooks they translate it such as the lesser town. So don't get confused. In this case, lesser is smaller by size, not less significant, because on contrary, it's one of the most important parts of the center. He was the first president of Czechoslovakia, and he used Prague Castle, this new royal palace, as his residence, and he used to meet official guests here and so on. And then the communism, all the monasteries, convents and everything was closed down, so religion was, which is from 1614. By the way, there is a Roman number on the lower line. Gate of Emperor Matthias. There's only the front part of the gate, because then once you are behind it, it's the architecture from the second half of 1700s. Renaissance window,
1500.
end of Gothic windows we saw in the cathedral. They were those pointed arch windows. By the time when it was made, it's about 200 feet long room. It was the largest hall for secular use in Europe. In Europe by that time. That period of 1500. Only churches, and some churches had larger interiors than what you can see.
Banquets, balls, ceremonies.
Shopping mall.
Okay.
Merchants,
Vendors.
so they used to for the
They even
knights
had
to make
shouts.
it softer for falling, but it was to absorb what the horses were leaving. And then they used to throw
They
it
put sand
out
and hay and
windows
stuff.
in the room. And it eventually helped when in 1618 two governors and their secretary were thrown out of the window. Old diet hall, processions discussing political matters, economical matters, matters mainly in ownership of the property. And you see in the corner the balcony. The balcony is very important because it was for the scribes. And in order to make records of all the judgments and these discussions, it was important for these scribes that they could see well and they could hear well. So that's why they were seated on the balcony. Archives of Prague. And there would have been many more, maybe twice more of the books, if not for the fire, and except for
1541.
by coincidence, out of the palace in the home of some lawyer. So all the others burned, and they were only in one copy. So most beautiful frame with all the crowns. Okay, but the most important part. Look, here we have replicas of those crown jewels. You know, you can make almost identical replica of metal, but you cannot make replicas of those rubies and sapphires. You can only reproduce them in glass to let them look as similar as possible. But I can assure you that the originals have totally different, like 1300s. It was designed for Charles IV's coronation. It's about 5 pounds heavy, and there are more than 90 gems in decoration. And it serves also as a reliquary crown, because the cross on the top, according to the historic documents, in between two stones there was a piece of supposedly a torn crown of Jesus Christ included. That means second half of 1500s. Still the set is also with the reliquary cross, and then there's a sword which is believed it's from the times of good King Wenceslas.
Oldest part of the cathedral, this end, from 1344. Charles IV was in France and he got the idea. This is the Golden Lane.
The legend is about alchemists who were supposed to find how to convert common metals into gold, but practically it's not really quite well possible, because the alchemists, they were alchemists on the court of Emperor Rudolf II, but they needed larger rooms and open fire and for these experiments and so on. If you imagine that deep valley we saw, I pointed on from the bridge when we were crossing from the garden to that older part of the castle. So it's behind this wall, yes? And on the opposite side there is a royal garden. So there was first a simple wall, and then they built a corridor. You see that there's a higher roof.
People lived here till 1953 when the communists kicked them out and wanted to flatten it, and obviously that didn't happen. Today it's partly museum and partly retail. And today there's a Julian Kids Royal Garden. Our bus is way out there somewhere.
Okay, yes, the roof. Yes.